Okay, it should be recording. Let's do this. So if you're familiar with Merida, I'm at City Express, which is off of Montejo. And I'm going to head downtown, or head down to the very famous Paseo de Montejo. So any list of the top 10 things or the top pros of Merida would definitely not be complete without Montejo. It's probably the number one. Really, it's just an amazing area. Welcome everybody. Today I want to talk about the pros of living in Merida, Yucatan. And I also did a video called The Cons of Living in Merida, Yucatan, so you can check that out as well. As far as the pros are concerned, the first thing I would have to say is that it is relatively inexpensive. And I say relatively because when you use air conditioning constantly, it can get quite expensive, your electric bill. But generally speaking, it's relatively inexpensive. You can do your own research on numbeo.com. I'm sure you're familiar with the site, but if not, it's numbeo.com. You can compare Merida to any city in the world, as long as they have a high enough population and enough data entries. All the information or data they have is user generated. So yeah, it's relatively inexpensive, and that is for, going out to eat. Rent isn't that expensive in most areas. There are some areas which I've covered before, like in San Angelo, where it's very expensive. There's a place going for 52,000 pesos a month right down the street. So, you gotta look around, just like any place. You gotta kind of look around and make sure, you're getting a price that you can afford. Advantage of living here for sure is physical safety. And I say physical safety, meaning there's not physical violence, or you don't really see physical violence. Now, of course, I'm sure it happens here and there. I'm not constantly watching the news about Yucatan or anything like that. But me personally, I've never, ever felt physically threatened here in Merida, never. And so that is definitely a plus, especially considering you're in Latin America, you're in Mexico, which statistically, as a country, is one of the most dangerous countries in the world. That's a fact, based on homicide rates. But just like in the United States, we have certain cities, East St. Louis, Detroit, south side of Chicago, that aren't that great. You have places like where I'm from in New England where, when I was growing up, we didn't even lock our doors. It's that safe. So you gotta just understand that within countries, there are safe areas, there are bad areas, there are in-between areas. And so Merida is definitely safe in terms of physical violence. And the reason I say that is because on Thanksgiving Day, which I mentioned in another video, November 23rd, 2023, my bicycle was stolen right here from the gated community that I live in. I don't know if somebody left the gate open, if I left the gate open. I don't know how the guy got in, but whoever it was, they just came, took my bike and left. Now, I feel pretty stupid because honestly, I should have locked it up to a post or something like that, but I figured, oh, it's Merida, it's so safe, So just remember that it's not safe in terms of theft. Your stuff will get stolen if you're not careful. It's not Japan, I mentioned that too. Japan's extremely safe. You could leave your cell phone in a restaurant somewhere and go back 3 days later. It'll still be there, It's not like that here. Your stuff will get stolen. But physical violence, I feel very safe. I think you would feel very safe. So it's excellent in terms of safety. They have police that are constantly driving around the different neighborhoods, and they are known, I've heard from my barber actually told me to be careful driving with my motorcycle with the camera on it. I have a Insta360. Man, I hate these cops. I'm driving with some Texas plates for quite some time now, and it's not exactly legal. Some guy told me, not some guy, my barber, he's like 19, he's an excellent barber, by the way. He told me that you gotta be careful with the cops because if they see you with a camera on your bike, they'll try to get a mordida, which is a bribe.
y estoy manejando con placas de Estados Unidos, con una cámara. Ya soy como un imán, digamos, para las tiras o la policía, ¿no?
Thankfully, it's never happened to me. I was only stopped once. That was in Progreso on the way back. They do an alcohol check, but I don't even drink since 2016. So that was the only time I ever actually been stopped by the police, but that was a routine check. They were checking everybody that was coming back from Progreso to Merida. So I've never ever had a run-in with the police. The other benefit of living here is, I will say, the people, but I say that with a little bit of hesitation. What I mean by that is, yes, the people are nice in Merida, but I personally believe that people are mostly nice in every country I've been to. Okay, that's Venezuela, Colombia, Honduras, Ecuador, Guatemala, and I've been to all these places, Panama. I think they're all nice. So I don't think there's anything necessarily special about Mexicans or Yucatecans or whatever you want to call them over somebody else. And I also know for a fact that there is a certain kind of, I'm not going to say racism, but xenophobia. Even though they won't show it to you, they're kind of timid, I would say. But behind your back, when you're not there, when you're gone and they separate, they'll talk about you. They'll call you the gringo this, the gringo that, and not necessarily in glowing terms. And I say that from experience. But anyway, that's for a negative video. That's not for a positive video. Today we're on the positive, okay? So yeah, people are nice, but again, I think people are generally nice in most places. Another great positive about living in Merida is it's got a little bit, maybe over 1 million people, more or less. I don't know the exact number of inhabitants, but I never have a problem with traffic. Now, granted, I drive my motorcycle a lot, but even when I had my Cadillac here, I mean, traffic's not an issue. It's a non-issue here.
Yeah. Ahora, libre.
If anyone complains about traffic in Merida, that just means they haven't been anywhere else or to any major city. So that's great about living here. You can easily get to the grocery store or to whatever you need to do, even downtown, and get back. And you can go to the beach and get back. There's no log jam at all, no log jam. So I don't think I've ever seen it. Now, I did go to a festival. There was a Dia de Muertos festival back in October. And there was some traffic there, but I mean, that was an event. You know, that was this certain event that they were holding. And I also went to a political rally on the north, going towards Progreso. I'm sorry, that's not north. Yeah, it is north. Heading north towards Progreso on the highway, there's like a coliseum, and there was a political rally there. And they had like certain U-turns blocked, and the police were there, and you know, but it was a political rally, and there was thousands of people there. So just like you might see at a, I don't know, a rock concert or an NFL football game, you know, there was that type of traffic. Next great thing about Merida is you see a lot of greenery. Now, to me, this has a little bit of negative to it as well, but again, like I said, this is a positive video. You will see a lot of greenery in Merida because it is hot and humid, and there's a lot of rain. You got your rainy season, and that equals plants. Plants equals green life, greenery. So I used to live in El Paso for a little while, and it's, you know, the complete opposite. I love the weather much better in El Paso. That's just my personal preference. The dry heat versus the, you know, humid heat. But in terms of greenery and stuff like that, I mean, it's very nice and green here, and plants grow and stuff like that.
Office Max is up ahead, Home Depot is up ahead on the right. There's pharmacies everywhere. There's just one of many. This is a big chain right here, Farmacias del Oro. But Burger King. So I mentioned before in another video that, yeah, you're not going to miss anything here as far as like your quote-unquote American things that you're used to. The VIPs over there, or VIPs, or I don't know how you want to say it, that's a Mexican chain. At least I think it's Mexican. I mean, I've never seen it in the U.S. I've never heard of it. Home Depot. There's Sam's Club on the left. Guy with his Batman helmet. That's another one, Didi food. So you got Rappi, you got Didi. I mean, besides Uber Eats. I don't really use those things. I prefer to just get my food. I've had too many, even in the US. On time, it's the wrong order, it's cold, whatever.
Also, I believe it's modern, relatively speaking, meaning the places where you go to shop and eat, and Costco and this and that, you know, they have all these things. So you're not going to be missing out. It's not like you're living in some little pueblo where all you have is a taqueria, you know, en la esquina. There's a lot modern things here. Not everybody just eats tacos, okay? Mexicans also eat other kinds of food. And it's funny, I was reading in a Facebook post, somebody said that they put in Tim Hortons, which I think is a Canadian coffee franchise, in Querétaro. And they were complaining. Of course, it was an American complaint. It might have been a Canadian, but they were complaining. Like, we don't need that, and we don't want that here. Why can't we just have café de olla? And it's just so stupid, thinking that you, who make up maybe 5% of the entire population coming from Canada or the United States, are the one to decide or should choose what comes into the city or not. Obviously, Mexicans want it or the place wouldn't be there. Okay? Mexicans like Starbucks, Mexicans like McDonald's. So if they didn't, these places would not be in business. It's that simple. They like Costco. If you think Costco only has Americans, do you think that they would be in business? No. So this idea that all Mexicans, all they want is tacos, that's it, and the little corner, you know, Doña Maria taqueria, no, that's not true. They also like high-end stuff. They like different types of food. They love hamburgers. Hamburgers are big here. It's not just tacos. And it's not just simple street food that they eat. They also enjoy high-end things, and they like certain franchises. Whether you like it or not is irrelevant because you're 5% of the population. If the people don't want it, the business will fail. It's as simple as that, and they'll leave. And then you'll get your wish. They'll be gone. But the population of Mexico and Mexicans, they decide whether a franchise is going to be successful or not your opinion on Facebook. So anyway, that's my little rant about foreigners complaining about, you know, trying to keep Mexico authentic. It's ridiculous. There's plenty of authentic places. And if that's what you want, go live in a little town. Go live in a small little town where they don't have anything except for taquerias. Go live there. You'll be happy, right? Me personally, I'd never be happy in a place like that. I need to have a little bit of modernity to my life. That's just me. I still love Mexican food. It's my favorite food, but I like variation. You know, I like Chinese. I like cheeseburgers. I like pizza. So anyway, that's that. Valladolid, which is only about 2 hours away, it's about halfway between Merida and Cancun, is one of my favorite cities I've ever been to. If it's even, yeah, I guess it is a city. It's just so unique. There's so many cenotes that are around Valladolid, and I rented a bicycle and actually rode to 8 of them. It was a really long bike trip, especially with the camera backpack on my back. But I got to visit all these cenotes. They were beautiful. And when I came back, in the center, in the Zocalo, in the center of the town, they had like what's called like La Vaqueria, and they were dancing La Jarana, which is a very typical Maya dance. And the women wear these gorgeous, beautiful dresses, embroidered dresses, and the men are dressed all with white, with a red handkerchief called a paliacate. And they wear these sandals called chionas because they make a little noise, like they squeak, almost like when you're on like a basketball court with sneakers. And it was just so beautiful, and I just really liked Valladolid. And then I also went there on New Year's, and I had a beautiful dinner on New Year's Eve. I think it was 2 years ago. But it's a great, great city. And I just think it's to me, it's, you know, I'd much rather go there than go to Cancun or Playa del Carmen. But unless I want to go to the beach, I think the beaches on Quintana Roo are way better than the beach here. I don't like the beach in Progreso. I don't think it's very nice. That's just the truth. I think the beaches, just the beach of the water, okay? I think it's much nicer in Cancun. The Mexican food also in Yucatan, I like the cochinita pibil, salbutes, panuchos, sopa de lima, me encanta. I love that soup, lime soup. It's one of my favorites. And so, yeah, I like the food that is pretty common here in Yucatan. And they have a drink called chaya, which I'm not really a huge fan of, but I don't hate it either. I'll drink it. Just, you know, it's an interesting plant. It reminds me of spinach or something. I don't know, but it's green.
Okay, should be recording. Let's do this. So if you're familiar with Merida, I'm at City Express, which is off of Montejo. And I'm going to head downtown, or head down to the very famous Paseo de Montejo. So any list of the top 10 things or the top pros of Merida would definitely not be complete without Montejo. It's probably the number one. Really, it's just an amazing area. Okay, up ahead is the famous Monumento de la Patria. It was actually sculpted by a Colombian named Romulo Russo. Lived in Yucatan for a long time. It's beautiful. There's the lovers' chairs right there on the right with the copas. Over there on the left. And this is the famous Montejo right here. It starts. They still got the Christmas, New Year's decorations up. You can see some of the old mansions or beautiful buildings or houses on the left. Many have been turned into banks and different, you know, commercial institutions. To the left is Walmart, even though it doesn't look like it. That right over there is Walmart. Hyatt Regency to the right and Fiesta Americana. Those are two great hotels. I stayed in the Hyatt Regency over there for 3 months before I bought my first place. I love this place. It's too bad the entire city isn't like, you know, it's impossible, but this is gorgeous. There's no denying it. I consider it to be one of the most beautiful avenues, really, in the world. I mean, as far as places I've been. And as a positive video, this is definitely one of the pluses of living in Merida. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look at the houses to the right. Great dining. They have bike rentals over there on the left. Everything's well taken care of. Unfortunately, the rest of the city doesn't get the attention. It's just my opinion. But Montejo certainly does. This place is spectacular. past the ice cream shop called Cologne, which has been there for a really long time. I think it's, I don't know how many years to look it up, but I think it's been there forever, but it's kind of a staple in Merida. A lot of people go there to get their ice cream. Look at this up here on the right. Look at the building. Wow. They used to have horse-drawn carriages give rides, and I'm so glad. I think they did away with that. I mean, these poor horses were now carrying people around in this. That's just no way to treat an animal. And I'm not exactly a PETA type, let's say that, but at the same time, I have a love for animals, and I'm glad they did away with that. I'm not 100% sure that they did away with it, but I didn't see any now, and I heard that they did away with it. Yeah, see, there's the horse. I don't like that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know everybody's different. Me personally, I'm on the side of I think it's cruelty to animals, but I'm also not the type to change the culture, especially when it's not my own country. But I don't know. Look at him. He just doesn't look too happy. I don't know. I don't like it.
I also like the lover's chairs, those little white, lover's chairs where they kind of go the opposite way. I'll put a picture up. And I like those too. It's very unique and it's very emblematic of Yucatan, those chairs. I think they're very cool. So that's it. Leave your comments if you would like to. And if you could, I hate asking for this, but if you could subscribe, that would be great. If you like the video, at least like it, I guess. And we'll talk on the next one. Bye. 30. Vamos uno más. ¿Por qué no? Dos más. 31. 32.